Well, greetings and salutations, greetings and salutations, movie
you had
fans.
One job. One job.
Let's start again, shall we? Welcome to the greatest movie news show in the universe, coming to you right here on the John Campea YouTube channel. I'm your host for today, Robert Meyer Burnett. And of course, well, I've got a great crew with me today, beginning with Mr. Rayora.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
I got Jonathan Boyko.
Good morning, as always.
And a very special guest coming to us all the way from Las Vegas, where he's taken his sister for the very first time, a Mr. John Campea.
Hey, everybody. Yeah, as Rob mentioned, I'm in Las Vegas. My sister and her husband came down to visit Ann and I, and they've never been to Vegas, so we brought them out here for the day, where I am going to go see Thunderbolts today. Actually, as soon as we're done the show, I'm going to head over to Town Center here in Las Vegas and go check out Thunderbolt. Jonathan, I know you're seeing it today.
Seeing it at 5 o'clock today.
Yep.
And I'll be seeing it in Dolby Cinema.
I'm seeing it at 3 o'clock today. I'm very excited. Drink in
very
hand,
stoked for it.
popcorn bucket.
Which
I
theater
do
are you
want to
seeing
get
at?
that popcorn, that limo, if they have them. I don't think they have them at my theater.
Oh, yeah.
Which theater are you seeing at, Rob?
I'm going to the Harkins
Oh,
Mountain
okay.
Grove 16.
Okay.
Seeing at the Cine XL. So
Very
there we go. So that's very exciting. We're all going to see Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts opening. It's always a great day when a new MCU movie opens, as we like to say here. It is game day, although no one said game day.
Good day.
So, yes. And of course, on this channel, if you would like to participate and ask us a question, we have our tip link, and you can send us in a tip. You can support the channel, or you can ask us a question. And if we deem it valuable or worthy and not, offensive in any way, especially to me personally, we can read it live on the show. And what's great about our tip link is it's ready and open 24/7. So even when the show is not on, you can still leave us a question and support the show. So, Jonathan, why don't we get started?
All right.
We have something brand new that I didn't even know existed that I watched a trailer for yesterday called Wick is Pain. And apparently it's going to be dropping on VOD. This is a new documentary that emphasizes the stunts and the hard work behind the John Wick franchise. It is directed by my friend Jeff Doe, and it talks to the directing team. It talks to Keanu Reeves, talks to the producing team. Basil Iwanek is in this. Chad Zaleski is in this. Keanu Reeves is in this. But what really looks exciting is the incredible behind-the-scenes footage. A lot of it I have not seen before. It's a beautifully shot documentary.
That tracking shot with the horse.
Unbelievable. The
Oh,
trailer
so
dropped.
good.
This trailer is just chock-a-block full of unbelievable behind-the-scenes work. And in the wake of the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences finally recognizing stunt performers, I think this is a really great documentary look at the creation of this amazing action franchise. And I'd never even heard about this and didn't know it was getting made. John, what did you think of this when you looked at it? I mean, I thought it was pretty incredible.
I'll be honest with you. The very first thing I thought when I saw they were doing it was I thought this was the name of the new John Wick movie. Like I thought like they were surprising the world, and Wick is Pain was going to be like John Wick. Listen, first of all, I think this is a great idea for a documentary because the story behind even just how John Wick got made and how it came to be is absolutely ridiculous and crazy and nuts. When you look at the way, like there's a little shot in the trailer about like one of the guys going, how do we come up with $5 million in 2 days?
Right.
And like how, like I'm going to have to remortgage my house, which by the way, that is not a unique or rare story amongst filmmakers. Like how to, like Kevin Smith tells his story famously about how he signed up and got approved for all these credit cards and maxed out all the credit cards just so he could finish Clerks.
Yeah.
And so to look at a movie like John Wick, where today we know it as this incredible, all-time classic action franchise, successful action franchise, but we forget that when they started this thing, it was a big unknown. Keanu Reeves was nobody again. Like really, everybody forgets that now. Like Keanu Reeves at that time, his career was pretty much at a lower point, and this was his second resurgence. And it was a low budget risk, roll the dice, and they struggled to even make it come to come to pass, and now here we are, one of the most celebrated action franchises of all time. I cannot wait to watch this.
I can't either. And I think it drops in June. And, you know, what great viral marketing for the upcoming Ballerina as well. I mean, they didn't really mention anything about Ballerina in the documentary, which is fine by me. But I think this is the kind of thing that I was excited to watch this, and I didn't know it was coming. And it will be on VOD. I don't know if it's going to be streaming for free, but this definitely is worth paying for.
Well, and it comes out like in a little over a week.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It like comes out on like, what is it, May 9th?
Yeah. Something like that, like right
like all
away.
of a sudden, this announcement comes out of nowhere, and oh, by the way, it's coming out in like 8 days, and I had no idea it was even coming. But you did, Rob. You did know it was coming.
No, I didn't. It was very funny. I didn't know it was coming, but a buddy of mine contacted me yesterday, a guy named Jeff Doe, who I've known for a long time, from Seattle, and he contacted me out of the blue and said, "Hey, man, will you help me promote this? I directed it." I'm like, well, yeah, man, I didn't know anything about it. And I'm happy to do it for you because it looks dope. I mean, you know, and I want to know, like, how did it get made? Who paid for it? Why wasn't that a Blu-ray special feature or something? But I'm telling you, it looked fantastic. The real question is, what do you guys think? Did it excite you? Are you excited about watching Wick is Pain? I can't imagine why anybody wouldn't want to watch this. And the cinematography looks as good as the cinematography in the John Wick movies. I mean, it looks truly incredible. So go down there in the comments section and tell us what you all think. Now, next up, what do we have? Believe it or not, everyone, it has been 10 years. It's been
It's been
10 years since you dropped.
What has it been? It has been 10 years since the release of the second Avengers movie, Age of Ultron. Now, for those of you who might have been at the San Diego Comic-Con watching the announcements, watching the Marvel panel, I was in Hall H, and I was crossing my fingers because the rumors had been flying that the next Avengers movie, movie 2, was going to be the Age of Ultron, and I lost my mind when they showed the logo and they told us all that it was the Age of Ultron. And I'll tell you something that's really, I don't know, John, if you feel this way, but when I went and saw Age of Ultron, you know, I wouldn't say I was disappointed, but I thought it wasn't quite as good as the first Avengers movie. But strangely enough, as the years have gone by, as this past decade has gone by, I have found myself returning to Age of Ultron more and more. And to me, it's become not only more relevant to the MCU as a whole, I find myself enjoying Age of Ultron more. You know, we have the introduction of Vision, who is great. There's the great dinner party scene in Avengers Tower where everyone's trying to pick up Mjolnir, and Steve Rogers makes it move a little bit, right. And Thor's like taken aback.
Yeah, he kind of has that like, I knew it.
You know, the idea of Tony Stark building a suit of armor around the world, which I think will come into play in Doomsday. I don't know for sure, and then of course Ultron himself, voiced by one of my favorite actors, James Spader. I've been a fan of his all the way back into the 80s when he played like Dutra in Sean Cunningham's The New Kids. And then, of course, Rip, the drug-dealing evil villain in Less Than Zero. And then, of course, Pretty in Pink and Jack's Back and Tough Turf. John, what are your memories of seeing Avengers Age of Ultron for the first time?
You know, Avengers Age of Ultron is one of the... First of all, are you kidding me? 10 years?
Dude.
Yeah.
10 years?
10 years, age of all of us.
Today, first of all, that's a little kind. I still remember exactly where I was. I still remember exactly who I was with. I think it's one of those movies that more and more time that goes on, number one, I appreciate the film more and more. And we talk about that all the time, Rob, that like every once in a while we'll bring up Age of Ultron. It's like, you know what? I saw it again a few months ago. And again, I liked it more than I even remembered. But it's also become more and more relevant to the MCU because you were pointing out, I think some big things kind of got introduced there. First of all, this whole notion of Tony Stark and going to build a suit of armor around the world. That became more and more relevant to the character as they move forward.
Yep.
And we haven't even, I think you're right, I don't think we've even really gotten to the real payoff of that yet till we get into Doomsday and things like that. But also, it brought up the idea, it was really Age of Ultron that brought up the idea of when you have this much power, there are going to be moral dilemmas. And of course, we got that a lot in Civil War, but even right in Age of Ultron, like there was became this idea of this moral dilemma of I want to build a suit of armor around the world, but at what price? How far are you willing to go? What risks are you willing to take when something like Ultron could be the result? And one of my all-time favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe scenes, easily a top 3. I bring this one up all the time, but is this magnificent scene at the celebration party at Stark Tower as Black Widow, Natasha, and Bruce are talking.
Oh, yeah.
And we find out there's been a simmering romance, maybe like feelings developing. And she tells, again, I'm not getting the exact wording right, but the whole question is kind of raised. What would a Black Widow see in a nerd like Bruce? And she gives this line that's almost on par of what is grief if not love persevering, when she says, you have met all these guys who are ready to run into the fight. And then I meet this one guy who runs away from the fight because he knows he'll win. And that line has always stuck with me. Like that line just is such brilliant writing. It's such it was timed perfectly. It was performed perfectly. So yeah, again, I think it's one of those movies that has the double hit of being better and better the more I see it. But as the MCU itself progresses, it as a movie becomes more and more important and relevant to the MCU as a whole. And yeah, I think it's kind of looked at as the ugly stepchild of the Avengers franchise in many ways. But I think that's unfair and unfounded because again, look, I don't think it's as good as the first Avengers. I don't think it's as good as Avengers Endgame, but it's a worthy Avengers film, and I think more relevant than we remember.
Well, also, it does introduce the miracles of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Mm-hmm. We do have the climax in Sokovia that echoed throughout the MCU after that, even into Brave New World, and I'm sure beyond. And again, introducing Scarlet Witch and Vision and Quicksilver, even though Quicksilver dies. But I mean, Vision to me has one of the great MCU costumes. I know he's White Vision now, but when he shows up, Paul Bettany moving Jarvis over into a starring role and turning him into Vision and making that character so noble. And one of my favorite scenes in the MCU happens at the very end, spoiler alert, of Age of Ultron, when Vision confronts Ultron and gives the line, well, I was born yesterday.
Yeah.
It's one of those great moments. And I think, it has that great opening scene where that one shot when they all go into battle together. Mm-hmm. I think after 10 years, Age of Ultron has really grown in its respectability, and it's a worthy effort. And I think, John, when you watch all 4, and a lot of people are going to be watching all 4 Avengers movies back to back, leading up into Doomsday, I think people are going to find that the movie has held up quite well. What do you guys all think? What do you think about 10 years? Does that mean, I was a whole different person 10 years ago. And what do you think? Go down in the comments section and tell us your memories of seeing Avengers Age of Ultron, what you think of Age of Ultron. How has it aged? Now, let's move on to this, as John says, shall we? This is very exciting, as John and I have been opining Shogun, both the original and then, of course, the new series, which we were, I think, both dubious about before we heard, because it took a long time from the time they announced it to the time we finally saw it. And then Shogun comes out and blows us all away. Cosmo Jarvis as John Blackthorne was terrific. And, of course, Anna Sawai was a revelation. And then we have Toranaga-san himself. And
Hiroyuki Sanada.
Oh, my God. And he's been in Japanese films playing ninjas, playing warriors since he was a teenager.
Wasn't he Silver Samurai too?
Oh yeah. And no, was he Silver
Samurai?
So.
I think so.
I think he played Silver Samurai in that Wolverine film.
Yeah.
And also, he produced the show.
Yeah.
And it turned out to be, I think, one of the great surprises, television surprises. It was so beautifully produced. I mean, you had Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross doing the music for it. The production was just unbelievable. But the thing is, it's based on a novel that ended.
Yeah.
So once the story was told, there was no more story to tell. So what were they going to do? Well, we found out today that they are bringing the cast back. They are telling a new story. They're making a time jump 10 years into the future, but it will be based on actual history, and it will be going, yes, beyond the James Clavell original novel. But I think it's great to see this cast come back. John, what'd you think? Should they do this? Is it a good idea? Are you excited? What's up?
Well, yeah, I mean, the two big, well, first of all, you're talking about a show that set all the records for Emmy wins in a single season. Like it didn't just break the record, it shattered the record. I think the record was 14, I think. But anyway, they won 18 Emmys in 1 year, including best series, best writing. They got best lead actor, best lead actress. I mean, it just swept all of them. It's incredible. Now, the only question was going to be, once they announced they were going to do a season 2, which again surprised some people because, like you said, Rob, the books are over. It was the book and
No
it's
more
done.
books.
So the two big questions I had as a fan of the series going into any season 2 announcement was, I mean, obviously Hiroyuki Sanada was going to be back as Toranaga. That was without a question. But I wasn't 100% sure that Cosmo Jarvis would be back as John Blackthorne. So that was the one question I had. Would he be back? The second question I had was, will they pick up where the first one leaves off, or will there be some kind of time jump? And in this announcement, they efficiently answer both questions at once. So it will be a continuing examination of this, two completely different creatures in Toranaga and Blackthorne and their relationship as that progresses. And it's interesting that they're jumping ahead 10 years. Because, you look at something like Andor and it's like 1 year later, it's like, wow, a lot has happened in that 1 year. So them jumping 10 years, I mean, that gives them the opportunity to really set whatever stage they want, like adhering to history still, but they can really kind of jump into any sort of story that they want at that point. So while I was surprised by 10 years, I actually think it's a pretty good idea because it gives them a lot of creative freedom there.
I think so too. I mean, I look, this cast is incredible. And when you have a cast like that, it would be a shame to only see them once when you actually have, I mean, I understand Clavell only wrote one book about these characters, but with such a hit, why let that go? And they do have real history to draw upon. So there is places to go. And I think this creative team, I have faith. I have faith that they will do something incredible.
There's one bad piece of news in all this, though. One bad piece of news. No Anna Sawai.
I know.
I mean, look, I am leaving open the possibility that they faked her death and that somehow 10 years later she reemerges and they'll be like, what? And then she'll be there. But no, they're probably not going to do that. This isn't the MCU. We will probably not be getting Anna Sawai. And that is one strike against this series going into season 2.
But yeah, I mean, I think probably the plot machinations, and we just reported on her getting, she got another part. She's in another film, so
she's getting loads of them now. Yeah, she's getting offers left, right, and center.
We expect great things from Anna Sawai, and what a beauty she is. But too bad she won't be going back to the Tokugawa Shogunate and living happily ever after with John Blackthorne, which probably is better for her character. Well, what do you guys think? Were you fans of Shogun? What do you think about Shogun Season 2? Go down there into the comment section and tell us what you think. And now we come to the part of this show where you can be as interactive as we are. You can shout at the screen. We can't hear you, of course, but we're going to play another game of What's More Likely.
Yep.
Jonathan, these are topics, of course, that you gave us, that John collected. So it's another great interactive moment right here on the John Campea Show that only we can bring you the way we bring it to you. So what do we have? What is more likely?
First up, Cole's Clips says, what's more likely, Rob? Mission Impossible does end with number 8, like was initially intended, or Tom Cruise statements about maybe doing more Mission Impossibles turns out to be true and we get Mission Impossible 9 and beyond?
Well, it's always about money. This is the final reckoning. So I don't know what happens to people after a final reckoning. But of course, the Mission Impossible franchise, even on TV back in the 60s, it's about a team, and you can always build a new IMF team. I think it really has to do with how much money the franchise makes. I mean, look, I'm not going to lie. This movie looks incredible. I mean, every time I see anything online about this movie, I just get more excited for it. I've really loved the franchise. I didn't love Dead Reckoning, but I loved Rogue Nation. I loved Fallout. I like Chris McQuarrie. I like how he teams up with Tom Cruise all the way back to he wrote Valkyrie, but the Reacher days, doing the first Jack Reacher movie. I think this movie looks dope. I think it's going to make all the money. But the Mission Impossible franchise has never been a billion-dollar franchise. So I think they're leaving themselves a place to end it. No one's going to be embarrassed if they end it after 8 movies spanning 30 years. So I could see it ending. However, the possibilities for making a new IMF team, a younger IMF team, and if Tom Cruise doesn't have a final reckoning, he can come back and lead the team. He can be a guest star. He could be the new Jim Phelps. Who knows? What do you think, John?
I think it's more likely that this is the last one. Now, obviously, you're right. It all depends on the box office. This thing makes $2 billion, which, again, it is weird to think about that we think about the Mission Impossible franchise and we think of it being $1 billion franchise. And overall, it certainly is. But no individual film in the Mission Impossible franchise has ever made $1 billion. And that's weird to think about. But here's the couple things. One, I hate coming back to it because he does seem to be an ageless wonder, but Tom Cruise is in his 60s now. And he's got a minimum of 4 other films lined up that he's going to be working on, right? 4 of them that are coming up. So there's that. And the reality is Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, while it didn't do badly, it certainly took a big step down at the box office from previous films. And I think it'll do a little bit better than that one does. But I think they're going to look at this, look at the marketing, say, look, when we started this Mission Impossible franchise, we never thought of it lasting 8 or 9 films.
No.
We never thought of that. So we're already living on borrowed time. So is it possible they could do more? Absolutely. But I'm going to say it's more likely that this is it for Tom Cruise's Mission Impossible movies.
All right.
That sounds good. I'll buy that.
We got Madden Rifle. John, what's more likely, Karate Kid Legends being more successful than Ballerina or vice versa?
Ooh.
Well, look, I have zero doubt in my mind that Ballerina will be the better movie. Although Karate Kid Legends, I'll tell you what, they showed us a bunch of stuff at CinemaCon from it. Like I don't know, what would you say, Rob, 10, 15 minutes of the movie? And it looked better than I thought it was going to.
Me too.
Straight up, it looks way better than I thought it was going to. But they also showed us a lot of Ballerina, and that looked bonkers good. I cannot wait for that. But I think Karate Kid Legends is going to make more money for 2 reasons.
Wow.
Number one, much like Mission Impossible, we're saying, like, you just think Mission Impossible is $1 billion a film, and it never has. John Wick is not that successful of a franchise, like compared to its budget, yes, but it's like it's never had a film that's made over like $700 million or anything. And now this is a spin-off of that. So with the popularity of Cobra Kai, which I still don't know why that show is as popular as it is, but it is. My wife loves it. Many of you guys love it. With the popularity of Cobra Kai, rolling right into Karate Kid Legends, coming off the series finale of that, and with the fact that the John Wick series itself has never made tons of money, and this is a spin-off character, I think it's more likely that the Karate Kid movie actually makes more money. Rob, what about you?
I think you might be right. I mean, look, we cannot deny the fact that Cobra Kai is a show that started out as what YouTube Red or whatever.
It was a YouTube
migrated
original.
Its way into the hearts and minds of the world. I never would have thought, if you had asked me when they started a Cobra Kai spinoff that it would be at all successful, I would have laughed in your face until actually I watched it and how they got into it, and the way they turned our villain into a hero in a way. And I think a lot of people loved Cobra Kai. I think following this up, and I'll tell you one thing, John, the kid who stars, this new kid who stars as the Karate Kid,
Ben Wang.
he is a star. That kid's a star. He does most
That
of
kid's
his
a superstar in the making.
Yeah,
Absolutely
he
a
does most of
superstar
his
in the
own
making.
stunts. I think at CinemaCon you saw that this is a very charismatic kid. He
Yep.
can kick some major ass. That's what you want in a Karate Kid movie, and he's instantly endearing to the audience. And that was
Yeah.
something I didn't really know anything about him. I was surprised by how he is immediately likable, and I think that star power can definitely translate to box office dollars. So I think I'm going to go with you. I think that this movie could make more money than Ballerina. I think this movie might be a sleeper hit of the summer, to be honest.
Could be.
We'll see.
All right. Well, next up, we got Billy. Billy says, Rob, what's more likely, The Mandalorian and Grogu is a financial hit or a flop for Lucasfilm?
Look, I'm not going to lie. I will say something good about this. I think it's silly that the next Star Wars movie that we're getting is a glorified episode of a TV show. I think that's a mistake. That said, people love The Mandalorian and Grogu. And the thing is, they had a production pipeline they already set up, so it's not going to cost as much, I don't think. I haven't seen a reported budget, but they've already got a production pipeline where it's not going to break the bank. It's not going to be what Rise of Skywalker cost at all. And I think that it does have a built-in audience. And I think if the movie's good, if it's good, I think it could definitely be a financial hit for Lucasfilm because it doesn't necessarily have to make $1 billion. I mean, remember, they had all, or not all, but they have a lot of the assets they needed already that they can repurpose and reuse, which is smart. And I think a lot of this new Star Wars production team they're veterans of making 3 seasons of a show. The real question is the script good? I mean, when it comes down to it, if it tells a great story, I think that the movie will definitely be some kind of a hit. Will it be $1 billion hit? Probably not, but I do think it will be a hit. What do you think, John?
I think the real answer is neither. I don't see it
That's
being
not
a
part of
hit.
the question.
I know, and I'll give my answer in a second. But I just wanted to kind of give the asterisk, and I think the actual answer is neither. I think it'll fall in the middle there, where it's not really going to be a hit. It's not really going to be a flop. If I had to guess which was more likely, I'm going to go. It's more likely that it flops. Again, for a couple of reasons. One, you were saying that this is just another glorified episode of a TV show. A glorified episode of a TV show that the last season, quite frankly, stunk. And listen, I love The Mandalorian, right? I love The Mandalorian. Particularly season ones and 2, but man, season 3, I found the business card of this robot bar on this dead droid. A droid is carrying around a business card? Really? Anyway.
Terrible.
And besides everything else, so it's a glorified episode of a TV show that not everybody watches, not everybody has Disney Plus. So there's going to be that element too, where there's going to be a number of average fans that just moviegoers that look and say, well, I didn't watch the show, so I'd probably be lost if I went to go see this movie. So there's going to be that element to it as well. And, again, right now, Andor is turning things in the good direction, but not everybody watches Andor, right? So Star Wars has kind of got a negative cloud hanging over it right now. So look, I think the real answer is it won't be a hit. It won't flop either because, God, they just re-released Revenge of the Sith in the theaters, and it did bonkers business. But I think if I say which was more likely, it's possible it could hit, but I'd say it's more likely it's going to flop. Hopefully it's great, though. Fingers crossed.
Wow.
All right.
I want it to be good too. Well,
We got one more here.
one more.
Yep. I think it'll do 4 to 450. But Ciara Smith or Karen Smith, I think it says. What's more likely, John, Toy Story 5 or Shrek 5 being the biggest animated movie of 2026?
Oh, you're asking me or Rob?
Yeah. You. It's your
It's yours.
Yeah, this is yours.
Okay, it's me. Okay, so I'll tell you what, to me, this is the question of the day. Because when I first heard it, I was like, wait a minute, they're both coming out in the same year. And sure enough, they're both coming out in the same year. They're not coming out anywhere near each other, but they are coming out in the same year. Listen, I'll tell you what, this is a tough one. This is a real tough one for me because on the one hand, you've got Toy Story, right? This iconic, forever kind of movie and franchise that has been with us from our childhoods and all that kind of stuff. The same can be said about Shrek. You can say the exact same thing about Shrek. And you can have the fact that, well, you know, recently we had Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4, and those all did great. It's $1 billion franchise. But, I mean, I just keep going back in my head to that Puss in Boots movie I watched, the last one that came out. What was it called? The Last Life
Wish.
or Nine Life?
The Last
Wish.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that movie was way better than it had any business being. And when it got to the end, and they're going, we're going to go see some friends of mine. And the camera pans and you see far, far away. The audience I was with lost their minds because they think that means Shrek is coming back. And so it's a tough one. I'm going to say it's more likely that Toy Story makes more money. I mean, it's just a proven $1 billion franchise. By the way, it's a franchise that has a Best Picture Academy nomination under its belt. But man, listen, I won't be surprised though. I think both of these movies are going to do bonkers business, but I'll give the slight edge to Toy Story 5.
You know, I think all of you bring up a lot of salient points. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go with Shrek because it's been a while.
Yeah.
You know, whereas people look, the Pixar, their flagship franchise is the Toy Story franchise. You can't go wrong. I'm still waiting for Bug's Life. You know, why don't they go back to Bug's Life? But I love that movie. But I think the Toy Story franchise is a flagship franchise. They've never really let us down. I mean, I never thought that they would make another Toy Story movie after Toy Story 3, which ended so beautifully. But I do think that there is Shrek never goes away. You know, and the Puss in Boots movie proves that. Especially for Taylor. Shrek never goes away. There's something about the Shrek franchise, and I think the fact that they're bringing it back that I think a lot of people are going to get excited about. The one thing I would say about both franchises is I don't think that there's ever going to be people are never going to tire of either franchise.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask.
No, I don't think so. Toy Story and Shrek deliver generation after generation. I mean, they've been around for a long time. And they never date. They're never going to get old. And I think that, look, Shrek is now beloved by parents and their children the same way that Toy Story is. But I do think that it's been a while. And if Shrek 5 is great, I think it's going to be a huge hit. But again, so is Toy Story. And they'll probably be neck and neck. I wouldn't be surprised. It'd be like the Showcase Showdown on The Price is Right, where I think Shrek will make like $1 more than Toy Story 5.
You know, to your point, I was like when my sister first got to LA, before we came to Vegas, we took my sister and her husband to Universal Studios Hollywood because they'd never been there. And we spent the day there. And they have a lot of characters in costume walking around, right? They had a Shrek walking around. The families and the kids swarmed to Shrek. So we might think about, because I think the point you raised was so good, Rob, about the fact that, listen, it's an older franchise. It's an older code, sir, but it checks out. It's an older franchise, but kids know it today. And I was kind of surprised standing there watching all these little kids going, Shrek, and like running Shrek. So again, I'm still leaning Toy Story, but it's going to be damn close.
It's going to be damn
really
close.
Yeah.
Well, what do you guys think? What do you think is more likely? Give us the answers to our topics today right down there in the comments section. Do your worst. Do you believe what we have to say? What do you have to say? Tell us what you think. And now, let's see what's next, shall we? I know what's next. You know, I didn't think it was a very good idea to remake Roadhouse. How do you do that? You know, I just don't think it was a good idea. And, of course, there was a little bit of controversy when Roadhouse came out, of course, starring Jake Gyllenhaal's Dalton, set in a new place, new part of the United States in the Florida Keys. Directed by Doug Liman, produced by Joel Silver. It should have gone theatrical, especially in the wake of Top Gun Maverick, but it didn't. And they had, a lot of little controversy. But of course, the success of the film, it was inevitable we were going to get Roadhouse 2. And guess who's directing it? That's right, Guy Ritchie himself. I don't know. John and I are big fans of Guy Ritchie. We went and saw The Gentleman together. I love that movie. The Gentleman
Such a good
TV
time.
series was a banger. Guy Ritchie has been doing some great stuff. He's got a new show that he's producing. What is it? Mobland?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
Mobland.
which is fantastic. Absolutely fantastic so far.
I mean, I think Guy Ritchie's had a really great career. Of course, he did the Man from U.N.C.L.E. reboot that I loved. I think, John, you loved it too.
The greatest King Arthur.
Well,
What?
My wife loves that film. You know what? I don't care what
I will
anybody.
die
I know
on
it's
that
not
hill.
beloved. I really like that film. I had fun with it.
I mean, what's not to love? Well, it's coming. Guy Ritchie is directing officially Roadhouse 2. Jake Gyllenhaal is coming back. And this, by the way, does not surprise me. This comes to us from what? Is this Variety?
Yes, Variety.
Variety. Guy Ritchie will direct the sequel to Roadhouse with Jake Gyllenhaal, set to reprise his role as ex-UFC fighter Dalton. Roadhouse 2 marks the third collaboration between Ritchie and Gyllenhaal, and their second for Amazon MGM Studios following Guy Ritchie's The Covenant, which, by the way, not a lot of people have seen it. It's a great film. Check it out. The filmmaker and the Oscar and Tony-nominated actor also collaborated on the forthcoming action thriller In the Gray. Will Beall, Bad Boys Ride or Die, Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. is writing the script for the sequel. Plot details for which are being kept under wraps because, everyone's clamoring to know those plot details for the new Roadhouse movie. Producers include Atlas Entertainment's Chuck Roven and Alex Gartner, as well as Gyllenhaal for his 9 Stories Productions with Josh McLaughlin. Ivan Atkinson will executive produce. This is happening. It's fast-tracked. I got to say, John, after seeing the Amazon presentation, the Amazon MGM presentation at CinemaCon, I was very, very impressed. I think Amazon has one of the most impressive slates coming up. This fits right in with what they're doing. They got Accountant 2 in the theaters now. Roadhouse, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Roadhouse 6, Dalton's Kid. I don't know. It's coming. John, what do you think? What do you think about Roadhouse? Is it a good idea? It's happening. It's a good idea. It must be. It made money. People watched it. Or it didn't make money because it was on streaming. But they could have if they put it in theaters.
I listen. I gotta tell you, I love this news. And first of all, I liked that Roadhouse movie. It was fun for what it was. It really was.
It was.
And Jake Gyllenhaal was actually kind of perfect for it. His Dalton. Listen, nothing's ever going to replace Patrick Swayze, but I really loved Jake Gyllenhaal's Dalton. It had kind of the same zen of the Patrick Swayze, but he had his own personality to it. And the fact that with modern times, they made it an MMA fighter sort of stuff, it was perfect. But the part that really gets me excited is the Guy Ritchie aspect. Now, obviously, when Guy Ritchie and Jake Gyllenhaal worked together before, they made a magnificent film. You mentioned all these movies he did. Let me add to that. He was the weirdest choice to direct the Aladdin live action remake.
Yes.
And he arguably may have made the best Disney live action remake with that. I'll still give the slight edge to Kenneth Branagh's Cinderella, but I loved his Aladdin. I thought he did a great job of that. And then he did 2 of my favorite films of all time. He did Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. And he did truly a film that's in my top 15 favorite films of all time, Snatch. And now he's doing all this other stuff as well. He hasn't lost a beat. You put him, I hate using the phrase, but he really is the perfect director for this.
Yeah.
If you really want to squeeze the just all the juice out of this that you can and get every drop of potential out of it, Guy Ritchie's the guy to do it. And I think him working with Jake Gyllenhaal in this. Now, the big question I'm going to have is, will Conor McGregor return?
I don't think so.
Because, they very purposefully did that post-credit scene to make sure everybody understood he's still out there. Like, they went out of their way to make sure the audience was very clear on that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, but maybe they pull an Apollo Creed thing. Maybe he comes back, he goes, "You're going to need my help, Dalton. I'm going to help you, lad."
Part of me that wanted to watch this film was for Conor McGregor. I just wanted to see how he would do. It was one of those films where if you're a fan of his or if you don't like him, he was going to get beat up, so you won either way. So
So you win either way.
I mean, it's that was one of the pulling things for me to watch this one. But I ended up just enjoying the movie in general. But his character, the way he played it I thought was great. I mean, he was being himself. I would love to see him if he's not in any sort of trouble right now. I would love to see him back. I thought he was a great character. He played himself very well. And maybe some other UFC fighters could get a lick in at Hollywood. I don't know. Maybe if there's anyone there up and coming star that has charisma.
For sure, there are.
With charisma, just like or it has the popularity of Conor McGregor. I would love to see them bring in more people, or even just like a great like an actor that's just a fighter. I don't know.
Well, it's cool. I mean, Guy Ritchie knows how to stage fights. He's got that British brawling pub sensibility. So I don't know what he's going to do for the fights in this. They're going to be spectacular. And another thing about Jake Gyllenhaal, John. So he replaced Patrick Swayze in Roadhouse. He also was in David Kelly's remake of Presumed Innocent, which Harrison Ford starred in that movie, that Alan Pakula directed. What new movie besides Roadhouse and Presumed Innocent is Jake Gyllenhaal going to take on next? Like maybe he will be the Elizabeth Shue character in the new reboot of Adventures in Babysitting. I mean, who knows what Jake Gyllenhaal will now do next? I just don't know.
I'm going to call it right now. All right?
What
you
is
ready?
I will call it after you call it.
All right. I'm going to call it right now. At Comic-Con in San Diego, coming up in just a couple of months, they're going to announce that Jake Gyllenhaal is the new Batman. I'm calling it right now.
Oh, I
Jake
thought you were talking
Gyllenhaal.
about his opponent in Roadhouse.
No. I'm saying his opponent in Roadhouse. It's going to be Patty the Batty. That's it. They're gonna
I
get
got one
Patty
though,
the
John.
Batty.
I got one.
Patty the Batty.
But I think they're going to announce Jake Gyllenhaal as the next Batman.
Wow,
I really do.
You're being serious.
Yeah,
Well, even that
being
little
dead serious.
thumbnail you got down there, I think he'd be great as Bruce Wayne
me
and
too.
Batman.
But here,
I think
He's
they're
got
going
the
to cast him as
physique
new
and the
Batman.
moves.
if any of you guys watch wrestling, I believe his Roadhouse 2 opponent is going to be Drew McIntyre from the WWE.
I wouldn't be against that. I mean,
I
that
actually
dude's a
think
monster.
that's who it's going to be. I don't know why.
I don't know that he can act worth a shit, but I mean,
Yeah.
he's the dude
Or
is
just
a
get that
definite
big
monster.
dude that's in the new the Reacher.
Oh, Alan.
Oh yeah,
Ritchie.
well
Yeah,
that
he-
dude's got to be Kratos.
Yeah.
That dude, the guy who plays Paulie in Reacher, he's got to be Kratos in the God of War. So I hope he's going to be busy for a very, very long time.
Nice. Well, it comes down to it. What do you guys think? What do you think about Roadhouse 2 being made? Are you excited? Who do you think he's going to fight? Do you like the fact that Guy Ritchie is directing? Go right down there to the comments section and tell us what you think.
All right,
guys.
And I think with that down, I think we're going to wrap up the show today.
We are?
On that, like obviously, yeah. I mean, obviously, we got I'm out here in Vegas.
He's got to watch
I mean, the
Thunderbolt.
got to get ready here to get over to go see Thunderbolt. So I think we're going to cut it a little bit short. Hey guys, if any of you have sent in questions to our tip link, don't worry, they're not going anywhere. They're absolutely going to get answered.
Me and
They're
Ray are
just
going
not
to
gonna
handle
get
that.
answered.
Just us. Me and
Yeah.
Ray will be answering. No, I'm only
Ray,
kidding.
Ray and Jonathan Hour.
I'm only
They're
kidding.
going to take
Let
it
the
over.
refunds come in.
So we're going to go get ready, and hopefully you guys are going to be getting ready to go see Thunderbolts as well.
Yeah.
So I want to thank Rob for doing such a great job and leading the show
Sorry, it
today.
started
Thank
a
you
little
so
rough.
much,
I was
Rob.
a little off my game there, John,
Started
but
introing his own show.
I quickly got like, what am I doing? That was
Of
fun.
course, Ray Aura.
Yeah. I
And,
can't wait to see Thunderbolts later. I hope everyone goes and checks it out. I want to hear what everyone thinks.
And of course, Jonathan Voico.
See you guys later.
And keep your guys' eyes open on the channel. I, of course, will be putting up my out of theater reaction to Thunderbolts a little bit later this afternoon. So keep your guys' eyes open for that. So that'll do it for us for now for today, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And from Las Vegas, bye-bye.